Mm, 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 mm. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's our favorite day. It's our
Hey,
favorite day. It's our favorite day. Hey, it's our
hey,
favorite day. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I'm Tori Rose, and I'm one of your hosts. Hey, I was gonna go with it, but that's as good
ah,
as I could do on this hit tonight. Hey guys, it's the Connected Corner. I'm your girl Tori Rose, and we're excited to be back with you. And who I have the pleasure of co-hosting with.
it's your girl Kiana B.
Hey, Busy
That's what
Bee.
we're gonna be now.
Kiana B. I love it. Kiana B. You should just, really embrace that key. I love it. And
I
so, what is
know,
the B for? Busy. What is the B? Business. What is the B? Bossy. What is the B? Be more and
right,
beyond.
right.
No. So, guys, we are so
Be
excited
out my way.
and
So,
be out my way and keep minding your own business. But anyway, so we are excited. We're here tonight in this amazing, monumental May. I know, things have been moving steadily. We had Mother's Day. We've had some other things happening. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we got some great guests lined up for you guys. Oh my God, I'm so
yeah.
excited. So, Kiana, how have you been?
I've been good. Just a lot of new things, y'all. I got some new glasses for y'all.
Ooh, thing is cute. I love it. I love it. So, guys, if you are watching us from Facebook or YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and hit that share button. Invite your friends, your family members. We have two dynamic men tonight. We're going to be talking about some good things, honey. And they are I can't wait.
I was gonna say. Ladies, look, come on now, call your friends, get it
All your
going, get it
friends.
popping, tell
I'm
them,
not saying
Lord.
they're available, but they are good to look at, right? And so on top of that, eye candy, we're actually going to get jewels for the soul, right? And some tips and tools and resources that you guys can actually use. So as you know, this is the Connected Corner where we want to bring you not only tangible and real life resources, but things that we expect you to walk away and tap into. You're only as good as the work that you put into your own future. So I am good. I know we want to say thank you to our partners. You want to do that, Kate?
Yes, we want to give a shout out and say hello and thank you to Nicotine Media, who launched and had a reopening of the new studio. And it is gorgeous. Make sure you guys follow them on Nicotine Media. And in the nick of time, you can rent the studio, you can do photo shoots and all of those great things. So make sure you follow and reach out to them. We have Radio on Fire. Shout out to our guy Diamond K. Whoop, whoop. And WMEG Radio. So we have Nicole is over there and Rock.
Yes.
Thank you to our media partners. And so make sure you guys follow them on Instagram and Facebook and all those wonderful, great places. And subscribe. So make sure you hit the subscribe button now. If you're watching us from YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching from Facebook, go over to YouTube and subscribe. But let us know where you're watching us from tonight. Drop it in. And if you're going to be catching this on a replay, let us know that you're watching it on the replay.
Yes, and I want to shout out to my family down in Texas who have been checking out the show. I had some people surprise me and say, we've been watching your show. So thank you. It's our show. Kiana and I are grateful and appreciative of your support. If you are in another state, drop your state. We want to know where you're watching. Even if, like Kiana said, if you're on the replay, let us know that you're on the replay and where you are. And so great things are happening. Not so great things are happening. We're still in the midst of the pandemic. Some of us are burnt out, tired, exhausted. Some of us are feeling recharged and renewed. Either way, big things are happening, right? You got new glasses. God, I like those glasses. You know, I almost want to just put some on just to look like that. Wouldn't be able to see for nothing because I don't need them, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to be Story B on the next show. Okay, I'm going to put my glasses on.
You going to put your glasses on?
So, do you want to introduce our amazing guests? Tell the people who we have tonight, and let me go ahead and lean in so I can look because, baby, they're fine.
So, oh my goodness, we have the dynamic duo with us tonight, and actually they're going to get into more about their duoism Is that a word?
Yeah, it's a word.
And what they have going on. But we have alumni NFL players, or we say former NFL players, Tavon Mason and Joel Gamble. They are philanthropists. They have come out of their professional football careers back into the community, giving back as philanthropists, authors, educators, coaches. I mean, they are doing it all every day in the community. And so we are excited to have them with us today. And let me tell you, we're going to bring them on. And ladies, let's clap it up.
Clap
And
it
gents, for joining us. We excited to have you with us. And so, May, we're just talking about making big moves. You are two gentlemen who are definitely making big moves in the community. You have projects and things that are come up, and we just feel like the community, Baltimore and beyond, like needs to know about what you're doing and how you're giving back to our young people and throughout the community. So welcome, welcome, welcome to the Connected Corner. Yes.
available. So, guys, we hear the word philanthropy thrown left, right, up, down. Some of us can spell it, some of us can't. Nonetheless, I want to start with kicking it off first to Tavon, and then Joe, I want to hear from you too. When you hear the word philanthropy, Tavon, what does it mean to you?
I think now it means helping in all ways to help other people. I'll be honest, when I first started this whole adventure in 2010 with Tavon Mason and other kids, I didn't know about no philanthropy. I heard, like you said, athletes were said, you hear a lot of businessmen said, or I'm a philanthropist or a speaker, motivational speaker. My thing in my head was, all right, I'm not playing football anymore. I always wanted to give back to the community, especially in Baltimore, in some type of way. So I just want to help. I ain't know about no titles. I knew what I wanted to do, and I needed to hit this ground running. So it wasn't until I would say probably about less than 5 years ago when that word started coming into play. So for me, it meant someone who really cares about people and not wanting the accolades. Yeah, we have to post pictures and stuff because we got to get a following and get people to want to get on board with our mission, but just wanted to help just because, I had the opportunity to play in the NFL. I had the opportunity to go beyond Baltimore, with college, not even NFL. Let's talk about graduating from high school in Baltimore, which we are seen in a different light than most cities. So being able to get the opportunity to go to the top college I did, I just wanted to come back in some type of way to give back, whether it's even speaking or to do what I did with Tavon Mason and other kids.
Awesome. Great answer. And we see Charlene Day is in the corner with us. Hey, girl, pull up your chair. It's nice. Hey, honey.
Charlene.
Hey, Charlene. Anybody who's watching, make sure you share and repost and tag, and please drop your comments. We want to hear from you. And so, Joel, what about you? What does the word philanthropy or philanthropist mean to you?
To me, similar to what Tavon said, so it just means a giving of whatever you can give. So it's sort of like tithes for me, giving back. And so it could be time, it could be your money, it can be your resources, whatever you would like to give back to the community. And similar to what Tavon said, me being a former NFL player, getting that blessing and that opportunity coming from West Baltimore, I felt God tugging on me to just, do what I didn't have when I was growing up. And so that was providing that resource to the community, and especially to youth. I know that my parents didn't have it as far as like camps or programs. They didn't have the money to, even if I wanted to go to a camp or if I wanted to go be a part of a program, we wouldn't have been able to actually go because of the funding and because of the lack thereof. And so I just wanted to provide those resources for kids just so they could be successful. We know how hard it is for youth coming out of Baltimore. We grew up in Baltimore with the drugs, the violence, everything, you name it. And so, I just wanted to make the path easier for youth in our city. Philanthropy nowadays, it seems to be a title. It seems to be a title a lot of people throw around. You see Instagram influencers, they got philanthropist written in their bio, but you don't see them doing nothing. I prefer the term grassroots, ground zero. Not a lot of people are going to step in, on that North Avenue in Smallwood, where I was born and raised, or go around Carver and Easterwood, and in the hood, and actually do and give back. So that's what I'm about, and I know Tavon is the same.
Wonderful, great answers, and I believe both of you guys, Keon and I believe both of you guys. You wouldn't be here if we didn't believe what you were doing and saw the fruits of your labor. Tavon, I know I called you probably maybe 4 or 5 years ago to come and speak at a federal government agency, right? And so from speaking to adults and mentoring adults to working with kids and helping, I've seen you doing it. Joel, same with you. You have been able to mentor my own child, which God knows. I probably should send you a cash app, right?
Where's my teacher's appreciation gift?
Boy, he is writing a speech, so when he walk across stage in 12th grade, he gonna dedicate it to you. It is in your fruits that we've seen you guys. We've seen you when we are out in the community, and I love what you both said, because oftentimes people call us community leaders. And if you're from Baltimore, West Baltimore especially, being a community leader is often synonymous with poverty.
Yeah.
When you hear community leader, you think about the person that's feeding families out of their kitchen. They are walking themselves. They don't have a good car, don't have a good house, all of these things. And I know growing up, I never wanted to be poor. I didn't want to have to stay poor. Right. And so when we hear community leader, we often think, oh, well, this person's in the community, they're doing whatever, but they're not making any global impact. When we hear philanthropist, it sounds like we're moving the community forward, and there's some coins there. And so I'm going to challenge anybody who's listening and watching to actually level up your thought process. Because there's no reason that we struggled and then the next generation has to struggle too, right? We struggled, we learned, and we're moving ourselves and communities forward so our kids don't have to struggle the same way. So kudos to you guys.
And I think also when you're talking about philanthropy, some of that you guys are just going to kind of earn that title because you both have foundations. And so a lot of people understanding that when you put that word foundation, that exactly is what that means. Like, it's synonymous with the meaning of a word and being, that foundation and root, like Joel said, being that ground. But it's also people go to foundations, not just for help or like community work, but they go for money, for funds, right? They go to really get resources. And so there's a difference, like you wear a different mantle when you have a nonprofit and it's a foundation, because people are really going to look to you for those resources, as opposed to, not that others don't, but you have more of those community type base. You guys are really beyond just the community type base of organization where you really are touching abroad, and you're doing that in a number of different ways. We can just throw it out there. One of the ways you're doing it is through being authors, right? Having books, literacy. And so speak about, whoever, go from, Tavon went first the last time, so we're going to let you, but just what you're doing in your new project. Like I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, go ahead. Like, this is awesome. And so Tori will deem me, I'm not a big comic, book person. And my favorite superhero is Wonder Woman, has been since I could barely say her name. I want one of those though. I want one of those. Okay. But that is just awesome. So talk about, as Joel is showing up, your project that you guys are doing together and how that is just reaching the masses, not only just in our schools in Baltimore, but throughout.
Yeah, so what a collaboration. We've always supported each other as brothers, and seeing each other in the community, being former NFL players, and always boots to the ground ourselves. I know Tavon was a children's book author first, and he started, and I'll let him go ahead and talk about that. But I saw him kind of moving as far as with the literacy piece, and I wanted to support him with that. And later on, I developed my first children's book in 2018. And I'll let Tavon go with how he got started, but then I kind of bring the story in and tie it in.
Yeah. So the crazy thing with my organization, we started with the right before Michelle Obama came with the Let's Move, campaign, and I was trying to figure out what can I do, So 2010, I went to the Gilman's camp that they held. They brought me out, and I did a kind of like a sports fit day. So I would talk to them. Of course, I knew the NFL tag would draw kids in. But then the thing with me is I would talk briefly about the NFL. I didn't want that to be the main topic every time I went somewhere. And I got the kids moving because I started to see, our kids not going outside. They're not doing any type of exercises or doing anything. So in the new year of 2011, I came up with the name of the organization, and then I came up with doing the sports fit days, taking over schools and getting kids moving and things like that. And then in 2015, I noticed, and with me and Joe working in the school system, that books were starting to become extinct as far as kids really picking up books. So I told at that time the person that was helping me, a part of my group, Connie, I was like, I want to get in the libraries and read. I like kids don't take books like they used to. So we started contacting the Baltimore County Public Libraries, and that first year we did like 3 libraries per month in the summer, June to August. And I started my Tavon Mason and other kids reading tour. So we actually would pick 3 libraries all across Baltimore County in 2015, and I will read. But how I put the spin on the reading to make them interested, to get them interested, I would do sports, I would do fit stuff. So basically my idea was to do a reverse. I would go in a library where you're supposed to be quiet, and I would tell everybody we will make as much noise as possible. I want to get to the point where we get kicked out the library. My main goal was to draw the adults and more kids who were in the back of the library. So, I would have them, we channel out in a football, when you're an athlete. So I would, are you ready? And they, yeah, and they loud, and everybody like, what is going on? And then they would say, oh, we got former NFL player Tavon here to read. And the thing, how it grew by the next year, they was putting my name on the board outside of the library. So that drew more parents in. In the year that Joel came and supported me, we was at Solus Point Library in Dundalk. And same thing, I read a book to the kids. I have them doing jumping jacks, running high knees, things like that. And everybody were asking like, what is your purpose for this? Not in a bad way, but I just wanted to make fun reading again, or reading fun, and I had Tavon Does It All in 2015, which was like a bike drop about me, but it emphasized sportsmanship. It also took away the whole thought process of the jock. All we know how to do is play football. So it's Tavon in middle school, and all of a sudden the storybook come out of the locker room, the slippers for my slipper drive, the storybook come out, the report card come out, because we pushed education. And then when Joe wrote his book, he like, man, we got to do something together. And then we did our own books together. And Matthew Henson, he read his book, I read my book, but the same thing, we got the kids up and moving, jumping jacks, running high knees, allowing them to be kids, but keeping them contained. And then that light bulb came on. He like, what'd be kind of dope, y'all? Like what? He said, if we come up with a book together. And we actually played Justice Duo on the phone together, and we just shipped it away. We didn't mess with it for like a year. And then when the pandemic was starting to come around, we did Matthew Henson, and then we revisited again. And our biggest point of it, not even just, and I know Joe was going to the why, but to have 2 black men come together, 2 black men from Baltimore, 2 former athletes, because the athletes normally have an ego, especially if you're in a higher role. For us to put that aside to come together, a lot of people don't do that because everybody wants the accolades. And I know with me and Joe support each other, that wasn't our point. If he came to my thing, he'd video record. Hey, Tay, I took these pictures, I sent it to you. I go to Joe's thing, he might tell you want to talk? Like, no, man, this is your thing. I'm here for you, his camps. Can you come work it? Yeah, I got you. What you need me to do? You need me to check off stuff, you need me to unload. But that was us trying to show that we don't need the spotlight. We just need to be there to help each other so it can help it grow.
That's amazing. And you have said some things, and there was some shade there when you said something about ego. I looked away. I'm not going to call it names. We know our fair share of athletes, but this is the time and place. If you are tuning into the Connected Corner and this is your first time, please make sure you drop your comments. Say hello to us. We want to know that you're here with us. If you are watching on Facebook, be sure to go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button in our channel, The Connected Corner, and also get notified when we go live. So listen, it's something that you both said that is so near and dear to Kiana and I. Kiana and I are the founders of an adult literacy initiative called We Read, We Lead, that we birthed out of a necessity that we saw similar to what you've shared after one of our younger cousins was murdered. He was murdered on a Friday, scheduled to start work on that Monday. But we understood that the job that he was going to work, he would literally have to work 18 to 19 hours per day to be able to feed his family because of the wage that he would be making because of his education and literacy levels. And so Kiana and I started identifying, especially in a city like Baltimore, that poverty is a business. And if we don't believe it, you look around and you see all of these initiatives and all of these projects coming up, but you don't see the lasting or impacting results. For instance, the Baltimore Library Project is something we had a relationship with the libraries, and we would hold our We Read, We Lead initiative meetings and our trainings and all of those things there. But I want to read this one sentence that comes from Baltimore Library Project. And this is how they start, right? The sentence says, Baltimore, poverty, children, literacy, and libraries. Why start with poverty? It goes on to say, according to the United States Census Bureau, 21.1% of all children under the age of 18 living in Baltimore are living in poverty. Then they go through some stuff about Johns Hopkins and blah, blah, blah. Nothing that is really connected to the solution. We have you guys on the Connected Corner because you're bringing forth the solution. But this is what I wanted to say. It says, it talks about park. It talks about some different things. You guys can go right to their website and look it up. But overview, 2017 to 2018, student enrollment was at 80,592. So that was all grades. We had 80,000 students. In those numbers, 42,000 were pre-K through fifth grade. 16,000 were 6th through 8th grade. The average 6th through 8th grader was not reading beyond a 3rd grade level. So let me give you those numbers again. 42,000 pre-K through 5, 16,000, almost 17,000, 6th to 8th graders. And on average, those 6th to 8th graders, many of them, most of them, were not reading on a 3rd grade level. So understanding that poverty is a business and that there are project after project and foundation after foundation popping up in our city, but no real results. Why do you believe that this project of yours would work?
Well, to get into it and kind of, to piggyback off of Tavon. So
Joe start. The reason why we both laugh, because we've been talking about this type of stuff. Well, we talked about it yesterday. Joe had called me to vent about something. And we've been talking about it for years because we are educators working on all grade levels. So I'm gonna let him finish, but yeah, you need like all day. Like
I go ahead and get started. I'm
gonna let you finish, but
I'm gonna start with the book, but I'm gonna get into philanthropy in Baltimore and white-led organizations and how they come into our inner cities and Black communities. But I'll get into all of that. But first I want to talk about the book. And so like Tavon said, we came together to create the Justice Duo. We thought about hey, we want to. Black Panther was so huge in our communities for our kids to see a superhero that looked like them, with our own complexion, a reflection of themselves. And so we wanted to continue on with that. And like Tavon said, we kind of tabled the talks. And then when the pandemic occurred, we had plenty of free time. So we were like, look, let's go ahead and get this started. We piggybacked off of each other, and we were able to write 4 we actually wrote 4 books. And so it's a series of books that we have. We already released the first one. And so we got 3 more just sitting in the wing waiting. So the reason why we wanted to create these books is one, representation for our youth. I worked in elementary school for 6 years and consistently going to the scholastic book fairs. I didn't see much of any representation of our culture in books. And I'm pretty sure Tavon can say the same thing, working in middle school for years. And so that's number one. We wanted to create that representation for our kids to see themselves in their books. And so 2, we also wanted to touch on community issues. And so in our books, not only will the kids see themselves, but they'll also see real life community issues. So the first book, we touch on bullying in the school. There's several other books where we talk about serious issues such as gentrification in our communities. We actually villainize that. And this gives teachers, mentors, parents an opportunity to actually talk to kids, because this is 5th, 6th grade reading level, our comic book is. And so this gives adults an opportunity to talk to kids about gentrification. I mean, when have we ever had the opportunity to talk to kids about that, about bullying? We talk about food deserts. You talk about West Baltimore, it is the food desert of Baltimore City. And so we talk about food deserts in our comic book. And so we're actually touching on, and we have a whole lineup of other community issues that we want to continue on with our next series and continuing on. But that's 1 and 2. We wanted to provide that representation for kids. And then we also wanted to touch on serious issues and allow adults and parents to have those conversations with kids, so they will actually understand what's going on in their communities as well.
Yeah. And I'll backtrack to when I bought my children's book out. The independent company I was signed under actually was based out of Michigan. And so when she took Tavon Does It All and her literacy group she started, and it was Our Kids, and she asked a young girl, because I remember she sent me the video, she's like, just looking at the cover, what do you see? And the little girl said, the character, I like the book because the character looked like me. And that was back in 2015. And it kind of went, it didn't really pop back up until me and Joe started doing this. And the reason why it popped back up, because again, we went through, he was like, Tay, think what other comic book outside of Black Panther do we have that represents us? And I told him flat out, I was like, the only thing I remember was Blade, but Blade was a dark character. He was like a dark superhero, so to speak, but that was the only character that was out there of, being an African American, or whether it's Hispanic or anybody, Al Brown, our brown cultures, that was to the forefront. So we had Black Panther. And then I thought about that, and you ladies know, when that came out, if you went and saw it in the movies, people had that African garb on, and they just were like enlightened, and what shouldn't have taken that long to do, but brought to the forefront. Again, that was our main thing of bringing it to the forefront. And even the way we wrote it, even though it was written in a comic book style, the way you can read it, it grabs attention. So my son read it, loved it. My 6-year-old, when I read it to him, he was super excited, but seeing it. But again, when you go to the front cover, inside the front cover, we put our why. So we didn't want to just put something out there to say, hey, we made a comic book. We want you to know why we're making this comic book. We want you to know we wanted to put African Americans to the forefront. We wanted you to know that representation matters to our kids, because they want to see us. They see the Spider-Mans and the Batmans, but we don't have the Spider-Mans and the Batmans in our neighborhood, because they don't really come to our neighborhood. And when Batman did, where did he go to? Gotham City, which was what? Underground. It was desolate. And you got this guy that's dark that's coming up to save everybody. It's not in a bright day. So we wanted to make it a bright day, but we also want it to be where kids can relate, because you got 2 little kids who get power and want to help, again, like Joe said, for issues that really happen. So gentrification and bullying, the areas of community that me and Joe have helped in, you got kids in elementary school and middle school that are going through gentrification, they're going through bullying, and they're going through food deserts. Some that's living in bandos or abandoned houses at young age are going through adult stuff that we have crossed at that young age. So we wanted to give them something where, oh, I can be a kid again instead of having to go through this adult era.
Yeah, you've spoken a mouthful, and Kiana talked about Wonder Woman, who I also love, but I did grow up reading comics. You know, I went through a DC only era, and then I was like, no, I'm Marvel only. And for anybody who's watching, or maybe has brothers, husbands, sisters, whomever, who have watched the evolution of comics, there have been a number of Black characters who have been whitewashed over the years. And so, you know, in the 70s, we had Black Lightning. By the time the 80s came, Black Lightning, you couldn't find those, you know, powerful characters. You had Cyborg, who originally, when he was in the 70s and 80s, was a Black character. And then over years, you see whitewashing of these characters. Storm, most people know Storm. Storm is from Africa. How is she not a Black or brown woman? But then you see the adaptation of all of the whitewashing. And so, you know, in the 70s, in the 80s, Black Panther movements and different movements, it was cool, you know, to fight for your community. It was cool to have a voice. But then gentrification through our media, right? Whitewashing and the change of the narrative that if you weren't you know, shaking your booty for a couple of dollars, or you weren't a part of the drug game, that you had no real voice. And so what you guys have said is, I'm a historian, so that has like got me all like, yes, you know, it is important for us to have the representation, but it's also important for us to understand the history. And so we authors, Black authors, have been around. You know, some of the earliest writings are from Black people, are from African people, or from the Moors, right? But throughout history, we're consistently whitewashed, villainized, or demonized. And so I think what you said is amazing. And Kiana, ain't nobody mad at you, girl.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Playing with Barbie dolls or something while I was reading comics. I was being punished. You were being beautiful.
Right. I was, for a minute, but you know, I I wasn't really into my mother made me watch horror movies, and I watched so much.
That's interesting. You brought that point up, Tori, about the whitewashing. Me and Tavon talk about, you know, what's on TV and media. We talk about pretty much everything. And so nowadays you don't see a lot of positive Black, especially male role models on TV. You see a lot of, like you say, you see the love and hip hop. You see the, you know, the ratchetness. You see everybody's loud and rowdy. But you don't see the family man. You don't see, you know, Black families together and loving on each other. And so, you know, we definitely have to be vigilant about what our kids see. And you know, hopefully we'll be able to create shows again where they see, you know, our Black families together, you know, mom and dad loving on each other, you know, brothers and sisters, everybody together in a positive light, as opposed to, you know, what we see nowadays on TV for our culture.
Yeah, that is certainly true. I mean, I don't even have watched necessarily, you know, mainstream. I'm a streamer, so Hulu, Netflix, so that, you know, then I can, you know, choose what I want to look at and what I watch. And that was pretty much for my kids for the last 8 years, or, you know, that they spent at home. I got rid of cable. You know, and I mean, I had athletes in my house, even with my daughter dancing. So, you know, our schedules, we didn't have time to sit down and watch TV. We were at football practice or dance practice or at games and things like that. So we definitely have to monitor what they watch. And I can tell the difference even in my kids, like what they look at or what they do. You know, instead of watching something crazy, I will come home and Kobe be watching CNN. Right. You know, he would. You know, for those of you who know him, he's like watching CNN, you know, he would keep me up on the debates and, you know, election knows different things like that. And so it does make a difference when you take those things away. And when they have to choose the good things, you know, to put in, and you have to tell them what you put in is what comes out. Don't get me wrong. You know, we all listen to a little trap music here and there, but I tell them as much trap music that you listen to, you know, go on YouTube and listen to the subliminals, you know, listen to those positive messages, you know, read those things, because your eyes, your ears, that's the intake to what's inside of you. And so you have to balance it out, you know, the trap music with the the good stuff too, right? With the motivation as well. So
you know the
that's
difference nowadays when you talk about the trap music. I think the difference when well, you know, I can speak for myself. You know, my parents you know, would sit down and talk to me about the music that I was listening to or the movies that I would see. And so we would have those conversations about, you know, what it's about and what it means, whether it's positive or negative. I think nowadays we're all so busy. Everybody's so, you know, focused on getting to the bag that they don't get a chance to actually sit down with the youth and listen to what they're listening to, you know, find out what Lil Uzi Vert or Lil Baby or Baby or whoever that, you know, whoever it is. I don't know.
You can talk about them all, but the baby, because he's my baby. So don't go there.
right.
I don't know what baby it is. But I'm just saying, we got 15 babies out here, boy.
and that's true. But it's true that you say that, because it's duplication, right? And what I always challenge people, Joe, I know I'm a little older than you, just a little bit. And I actually had the pleasure of working with your dad, you know, right before I left Baltimore City Public Schools. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm gone. April 21st was my last day. I couldn't wait for the end of the school year.
Just the announcement, y'all.
Just the announcement.
With a new season, new show, a new job.
Right, and your movements, but
movements,
when we honestly look at Black families and the intentional uprooting of the family structure, this is not just the new generation. You know, this is every generation that has come. Because if mom had to work, if dad wasn't in the house, or if someone was incarcerated, we were living with grandparents, they were not able to sit down and monitor everything. I can remember watching The Box, right? Y'all remember that? And The Box, television. But The Box was how I knew that I would get off of Payson Street. Because I would look at the videos and I would see the, you know, yards and grass and different environments, people driving fancy cars and things like that. And I would visualize that I would be out of West Baltimore. Right. And so, but my grandparents didn't know I was listening to, you know, Dumps in a Bumps or whatever I was listening to. You know, and so I aged myself, right?
Find out she was watching BET Uncut.
And what we used to do is we would get real close to the TV like this and turn it down so you can listen to it without letting whoever upstairs know. And so, but my point to you is, I appreciate your perspective. And while we are seeing a consistent decline in the family structure, every generation feels the same way. And so it is the yous and the I's and Kiana's and Tavon's, the ones of us that God gives divine purpose. And then he also then brings revelation to say, now that you've done these things, let me drop a little this in here. And we climb to the top. It's now our responsibility to bring someone else forward. Can you tell us how this, the Justice Duo, is bringing children forward and bringing parents along for the ride as well?
So like Tavon said, he's always been a component of bringing excitement to literacy. And so just by the different components that we have in the book, by the kids seeing themselves in a book, we actually go into the schools and read. And so I just did a school visit with the kids, and, you know, they were super excited to see me virtually, of course, online. And I was able to surprise them with our book. The school actually purchased recently 130 books, Riverview Elementary School in Baltimore County. They purchased 130. And so just the excitement of seeing and bringing back reading and literacy to kids. I remember when I was younger, being able to hear a bedtime story was like the thing. I was super excited to do that. And so I think a lot of the excitement has been taken out of reading because everything is so like quick and now, where you can watch a video or see something real quick and it's gratifying. But just getting them excited, like Tavon said, having bright stories and the superheroes and things that they enjoy. I mean, they even read Captain Underpants is one of the top books. And so we want to provide that for and show that representation and have the Justice Duo be one of the top sellers in our communities and just provide that excitement about reading. And that the more you read, the better you get at it. And so that will help with literacy. That will help with our kids being able to read efficiently and wanting to read more. And so that's what, we're working towards and we're excited about as far as moving our culture, our communities, our kids forward.
Yeah. And I would say also being a part of it, it's like one big thing that I had made a component when I would do my initiatives for my organization, or even I would get asked to speak somewhere, is being touchable and visible. And what I meant by that was I would tell people, I might have a group that helps me. But if you send a message, an email on my website, or even if you send me a message on a Tavon Mason or the Kids Foundation Facebook page, like an inbox, I would answer it within 72 hours. What I have gotten to see during the time I played was a lot of guys were kind of like forced to do the community work because it's kind of like, hey, do this. Basically make the organization look good, and it's also build your brand up. But my thing, and coming from where I came from, West Baltimore as well, and wanting to be able to reach and see some of these athletes, see some of these people who I admire, and being on the other end of being that person that is admired now. When I would go out, I would sit there and talk to them, or sometimes my dad/teacher mode will come up if I'm trying to get everybody organized. And you got that one kid and I was listening. I like, hey, yo, get in line. Like, being me, not being the football player and like, ha, laugh it off if little man acting up on the side. Like, no, get in line. Let's get this thing done. And then we can do that afterwards. But being something real, somebody they can talk to. So like Joe said, if the books are given out, or even when we did Matthew Henson, when they bought the books, we actually showed up. We went there. We sit there and take pictures with the kids. Having moments where I had kids like, "Hey, can I touch you?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can touch me." I'm not God. I'm not sitting up here. I did this, but I understood because I remember having the Michael Jordan posters up, having the Jerry Rouse posters up. Like, man, I wish I could meet them. And now being in that mode, I make sure to be that visible. Even like my students, I got students that will follow me. So making sure that what I put out there is something that they can grab onto. You know what I mean? Not, the stuff before my young 20s, because I don't want them to navigate towards that. But showing the Justice Duo stuff, showing the pictures of coaching or with my kids, or just chilling. If it's me just chilling, getting them to understand like, wow, yeah, he's my teacher. He done this, but this is somebody I can go to, who I can talk to if I need to. Not just, hey, y'all, thanks for coming out. Thanks for buying the books. I holler at y'all. All right, so what's the next gig? Oh, we go to the next gig. Hey, y'all, thank y'all too. I appreciate y'all. Peace. Get away from me. Get away from me. Let me go to the next.
Right.
Being involved. So like I take it back to Joe's camp. When we do Joe's camp, or when Joe had his flag football, the one year I couldn't coach, but the following year I actually coached. I mean, I coached my team. I was at practice every day down at Easterwood. I would get the games every Saturday. So again, being visible. Yeah, I'm a former player, but when you go into areas where the people patrol, they're gonna look at you like, man, look at this dude. Yeah, he an NFL player. He think he better than us. But when you sit there after a flag game or after Joe's camp, and you sitting there talking to the dads or talking to the moms or just talking in general, it's like, wow. I know that mind, they probably think, oh, I'm thinking he's stuck up, but it was like, wow, like he's real cool. They're like, man, you mind if we connect? Yeah, hit me up. here's my contact information, like an email, I get my website, you can hit me through there, and we talk and see how we can connect. And that's how a lot of relationships I've built during the time of doing this since 2010. And if I didn't have a resource, oh, what you looking for? Hey, Joe, I got such and such that need this, or I know somebody can do it, or I reach out to Tori, or I reach out to Keon, or I reach out to somebody else that's in that lane, and they say, thank you for helping me. But not only, I don't want to have the answer, but be able to be that link to the resource. So I think being that visible piece is key, especially in our city, because our kids, and I know me and Joe work in the school system, they don't trust anybody. So if you can get the kids to trust you, you got for like years down the line. As long as
yeah, that's huge.
We understand that. That's for sure. You got that Woodlawn shirt on. That's where I did my time. That's where I started teaching. Yes, absolutely.
We always want to be that stronghold in the community, so not just giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving or showing up for backpack, back to school day, or none of that. Like, we're actually accessible. And so, anybody that knows us knows they can hit us up, know where to find us. I'm at Easterwood whenever the pandemic's opened up, so we're actually NFL players that are accessible to kids. We can talk, they can talk to us, they can ask us, they can pick our brains. And that I think is super important, more important than sometimes even the programs, and more important sometimes than what we do, just being there and giving the kids hope. Like, hey, this guy's actually, from here, he's successful, he made it, and he's back in the hood with me. Like, and, he's trying to help me out. So I always tell the kids, you see, I'm here with you guys, and I'm giving back. I'm taking out of my time to give back to you guys. Make sure that when you're successful yourself, I always want to see that trickle down effect, that recycling effect of, what, Joel Gamble, Tavon Mason, Tori, Kiana, they helped me out when I was younger, and I think I'm going to do the same thing, but take it even further, and so when they get to be successful, then they do the same thing. And it's kind of like that, recycling effect of philanthropy and helping others.
Well, you guys have definitely been doing the work, and a lot of what you're saying takes us right into our next segment. And, I know this first answer, exactly what you just said, is those that we teach, that we mentor, that we touch, to see them then go forward and give back and do that same thing definitely makes the work rewarding, right, in that way. So I have a question for you guys. Well, I have 3 questions. And so the trick to this, that's not the trick, but the key, I was trying not to say it like 3 times, but we have 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes. And so this segment is key questions, right? And so you actually have 2 minutes. We got a little timer here. So it's on there, say 2 minutes. To answer all 3 questions, right? So both of you, and we'll ping pong back and forth. I'll tell you, go. No, like almost like an auction, but
don't be reading the question all slow either.
Right, get it out. All right.
Well, wait, before you start, flag on the play. Okay.
Y'all know I talk slow.
Well, not only that, you both are extremely competitive. This is not an opportunity to flip the table. Do not break the computer. We don't have the Super Bowl cup. None of that. Okay, so take a deep breath. All right, Kiana.
All right. So because it's 2 of you, it's going to be a 4-minute segment because each of you, get your 2 minutes. All right. So I'm gonna start with Tavon. All right. I'll start with Tavon. All right. All right, so we're gonna flip the timer. I will flip the timer after I read the first question.
Okay, got it.
All right, okay. All right, so the first question is, what is one thing about the work you do that puts a smile on your face every time?
When I have past mentors, mentees, and players that I have coached that still reach out to me, either call me coach or I get the hey coach, man, I just want to let you know, man, you the man. you know, when you hear kids say that you the man, that sets something off. You know, I never knew what that meant as being a player, because I know I felt that way about certain coaches. So now being on the other end and having mentees from my mentoring group G Squad at Franklin Middle, and guys I coached at Stevenson from 2014 to 2017, that still hit me and just, you know, thank you for what you did. Or, you know, a mentee like, because of you and Mr. Elliott at Franklin Middle School, you know, you guys were the only one that believed in me when we started G Squad. You know what I mean? So to hear that and to see that, you know what I mean, to see, like, I could tell one of my mentees, you know, a guy, one of the young fellas I follow here, junior, I was like, man, I love you. You know what I'm saying? If you need me, I'm here. And he'll put that back. So to get a kid like that to say that, you know what I mean, especially a kid that's in the streets like that, to put that heart up there for everybody to see, that's like, that show that just kind of like melt me.
All right,
You got two more questions.
Two more questions. The next question is, what is one piece of advice you have for aspiring professional athletes or their parents? So some parents are watching. What is one piece of advice you have for aspiring professional athletes or their parents?
For the parents, I tell them, if they elementary, middle school, let them be kids. The sport is going to come. What I'm starting to see now in this coaching world, a lot of parents are pushing the kids early because that's their dream for them to be. Allow them to be kids and allow them to make the choice to play the game. And once they want to play it, support them from the backseat. Allow them to play. Allow them to come to you. Don't say, hey, why didn't you do this? Or why do you don't do that? They have coaches. We do that. Allow them to be kids and to grow into that sport.
All right, one more. What is the weirdest response you've gotten when you tell people you played in the NFL?
The first thing they say is, for real? They say, for real? You really played in the NFL? That's like,
all right. Time up.
Dang, you didn't even get the last question off.
Right. We see who reads and we see who talks. I love it.
Tavon, you supposed to be the speed demon, man. What's going on, brother?
You should put the first question last. That first question.
Right.
That gets you every time.
All right. So, Joel, you're up next. And what is one thing about the work you do that puts a smile on your face every time?
So for me, it's, it's a lot of work when you're actually creating a program and you're creating camps, and it's behind the scenes and it's always stuff that's going on that's trying to ruin the program. But when you see the kids' faces and when the kids come up to you and say, hey, when are we going to do this again? And they're excited about doing it on a continuous basis. That actually is what keeps me going over and over, like seeing those kids' enjoyment and them wanting to actually do the things that we provide for them. That's the excitement that keeps me going.
Awesome. Number 2, what is one piece of advice you have for aspiring professional athletes or their parents?
For the aspiring professional athletes, I would say give 110% effort in what it is that you want to do. And then also, obviously, we all have our own dreams and goals. Make sure that nobody ever tells you that you can't accomplish something. So we know the percentages of getting into the NFL, professional sports, and all of that. I was one that I was stubborn. They told me the percentages, and I was like, I don't care about that. I'm going to reach my goal. And so make sure you're putting all your effort into it, and make sure you don't let anybody, friends, family, whoever it is, tell you that you can't reach that goal.
Awesome. And number 3, what is the weirdest response you've gotten when you tell people you played in the NFL?
Sheesh. I don't know about that. Oh, they ask like, who did you play with? Did you play with different players? They'll say like Ray Lewis, or did you play with such and such? Oh, did Ray Lewis hit you? They always make it seem like the other players is better than you, for real. And I'm like, no, like actually I held my own when I was out there. I'm a professional too. Hold up. So yeah, like it's always like, are you that fast? Are you this? Are you that? I'm like, yeah, I did make it. So yeah, it's always those questions, and it's like, man, they can't kind of fathom your skill set and how good you are.
Look, he did that to Tavon like that.
Right. He should have started his answer with, "Well, first, ma'am, I'm a Capricorn." Right? That was offensive.
But wait a minute. When he started talking, all I could think about was the one I raised was Kai. Well, Tavon, you've coached a guy. I was like, if he don't sound like Kyra, because I there was no telling him. I mean, I would say, Kai, well, what about no? Okay, all right, like, okay, not a problem.
Yeah.
Do you, bro? Do you?
Yeah. You don't tell me I ain't gonna make it. Nope. Joe,
you can owe me $5 though if you don't say something slight on this here call. I'm gonna 54 minutes in. I don't lose bets. So
I'm saying no, y'all see the hoodie? You feel me? Just something slight right here. Y'all see the justice?
We love it. We love it.
Go ahead, brush the shoulder off.
Listen, it's a nice hoodie. So now tell us, where can we get it if we want to be cute and wear something slight?
So all you guys got to do is type in the Justice Duo Square site in Google, and it'll pop up. We have our book for sale, autographed books for sale, and then we have T-shirts. Our hats, trucker hats, with the with the snapback joints. We got those, and we also had the hoodies. Something slight.
Like, I was like, he better say it. I'm not gonna lose my $5. And so this has been amazing. I mean, you guys have said so many awesome things. I know I stepped away from the turkey giveaways. I posted something the other day. When I look over my life, I have fed thousands of people. Thousands. You don't know where people end up. But I stepped away from the turkey giveaways per se, because I don't know if you have an oven at home. I don't know if you're going to be able to prepare this food. And I literally saw in September of 2020, most of us don't know that, but over 130 people were hospitalized in Baltimore for salmonella. And so what happens is, many of us who are philanthropists or community advocates, activists, whatever, we're out here doing our due diligence. We think that's a great thing. But then what about that mom or that grandma, that pop who's taking that turkey home, whose BGE is cut off, whose lights are cut off, who doesn't have adequate oven? So anybody who may be listening, let's tap into our creativity and figure out how to really meet the need, and making sure we do it in a way that's going to keep people safe and healthy. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So thank you for that.
Also, inspect the food. If you're actually going to do those food drives and all of that, inspect the food and make sure that, because some of these companies, these grocery stores, these farmers, when we talk about our communities, we always get put last and on the back burner. So, make sure you inspect the food. Don't just trust them to give us something that's actually fresh and safe to eat. So, inspect the food, make sure it's good for consumption before you actually give it out and hand it out, or even be a part or partner with people that are giving stuff out.
Amen. Thank you for that. So you guys are really like superheroes. Y'all have a theme song yet?
Oh yeah, we do.
Okay. Can we hear a little bit of it, or can we bring you back in?
Hold on, Mike. Can I share? Is it a screen share on here?
Do you have maybe at the bottom of your thing, you see the little plus with the computer that says share?
Hold on.
And while you're pulling that up, we're going to let everybody know who's watching us. If you guys did not already subscribe to the YouTube channel, please do so. This is definitely a platform where you're going to get news and resources you can actually use, but you have to use it, right? So we are going to bring you to the water, but you have to want to drink. Also, this is May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. And if you don't realize that spending time with your children and your family and reading and building memories and having laughs helps with your mental health. Ooh, okay. What's this?
Oh, shucks. You ready? Y'all ready?
Ready.
It's the Justice Duo. They protect your life and mine. It's the Justice Duo. Every night they fighting crime. It's the Justice Duo. Doing more than playing games. It's the Justice Duo. Cause it's time to make a change. It's the Justice Duo. They protect your life and mine. It's the Justice Duo. Every night they fighting crime. This the Justice Duo, doing more than playing games. This the Justice Duo, cause it's time to make a change. You been warm when you see me. People they warn in these streets. You could've sworn them 3D. Protecting the corners like DVs. Yeah, we got it locked down like they on prime time. Getting better every day. I'm aging like fine wine. And you don't want none of that. I'm going through block it like running back. Yeah, it could be fun and fact. When they get a song, wanna run it back. I don't take y'all as a threat. No, I should take off like a vet. I ain't even break out the sweat. I just take off like a jet. Let's go. Dropping them bombs, baby. When they hear rock, the song's crazy. You on my league, got a strong league. I can win with.
That's a little something. I'm gonna give y'all just a little something. You feel me? I'm just gonna tease you a little bit.
Well, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah, shout out to Tavon's boy.
Yeah, my good friend Will Ruck. We go to Renew Mind Worship Center, and me and Joe was talking about theme song, or we in the makings of down the road of doing our own cartoon or animation. So I was like, Joe, I got somebody, and I sent them. I didn't even send him everything. I just like, hey, this is the book cover, and it was about like 3 weeks later. He was like, Tavon, I got something for you. What's your email? And I listened to it. I was like, dog, how much I owe you? Like, nah, that's not the. Nah, you don't owe me nothing.
Wow.
I support him and bought one of his sweatshirts from his line. But yeah, I sent it to Joe. I said, Joe, listen to this, dog. He was like, yo,
I love that.
What he played is what we played at our launch party, so everybody could hear the song and went.
Wow, that's awesome.
He said Jesus paid it all. See, it's some good church brothers out here. So anywho, Tavon, let us know where can we find you. And then you'll let us know where we can find you. We want to stay connected, and we want our viewers to connect to you guys.
So definitely, like Joe said, for the Justice Duo stuff, definitely go Justice Duo Square. You can find me at Mr._T Mason on Instagram, and also my foundation page is Tavon Mason Love the Kids on IG and on Facebook. Tavon Mason Love the Kids. Tavon Mason on Facebook and on Twitter is T Mason 18 and at TMLTKF, my foundation Twitter page.
Awesome. And Joel, how about you?
You can find me on IG, Joel_Gamble. My foundation organization page is JGCYO. So it's the Joel Gamble Community Youth Outreach. And then also you'll find me on Twitter, NFLTE82.
Awesome. And I'm Tori Rose the Connector. You can find me on social media at Tori Rose or Tori Rose the Connector. And I'm going to give the floor to Kiana B for any final words, and she can tell us where she can be found as well.
I still had the music in my ear. I do that all show anyway, but that's what's up. Yes. So I'm Kiana B, and you can find me on all social media platforms as Kiana B Jones, Twitter, Facebook, IG, all those great places. So we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight for the Connected Corner. Make sure you stay connected, get connected, subscribe to the Connected Corner, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. And God bless and good night.
Thank you.